Have you ever wondered what it's like to work in law enforcement? Here on Behind the Star, we share stories about the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Central Florida's largest law enforcement agency. From forensics to dispatch to the deputies on patrol, we'll talk to the brave men and women who protect our community. This is Behind the Star, the official podcast of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Welcome to Behind the Star, the official podcast of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. My name is Jon Busdeker, your host here at Behind the Star, and I'm excited for today. I know I say that, I think, every time I do a podcast, but we recently did a video project with our crime prevention unit. If you haven't seen that one, go to our Facebook, go to our YouTube. It's all over there. We had a really good time with it. It's sort of a serious topic, but we wanted to have some fun with it, so we had some fun with it. Go check that out. But I thought since we did a video with them, I would come and talk to the folks here in crime prevention. So I'm here with Sergeant Helen, Harvey, and Master Deputy Stanley Murray. Welcome to Behind the Star.
Well, thank you.
Glad to be here.
All right. Yeah, this is Stanley's second time here on Behind the Star. If you go back a few dozen episodes, he's also the chaplain here at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. So we're glad to have you back, Stanley.
I'm glad to be here. Always excited. Anything for the fans, if you want to call them. The citizens of Orange County. We love serving them, so we pray that they're enjoying what we got going.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to start with you, Sergeant Harvey. Why don't you tell me what exactly is the crime prevention unit at the Orange County Sheriff's Office? Aren't all deputies in charge of crime prevention?
So in theory, yes, all deputies are in charge of crime prevention, and it's a very loaded question, and it would take several podcasts to explain what all my deputies do. But in a nutshell, we work with the residents in the community, and we also work with business owners and various businesses throughout the community. And what we're trying to do is educate them and inform them on best practices to prevent being a victim of crime in the future. So we do that in a ton of ways. One of them you already explained was our social media posts. We do a lot of social media posts. We do a lot of fun videos. We recently did a porch pirate one, which was hilarious.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that was around Christmas time. Yeah. Same thing. Go back to our YouTube and social media, and you'll see some porch pirate videos. And so we'll get into what that is.
Yeah,
exactly
so we like to throw in those little nuggets of information that really do help prevent crime from happening to you. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. Is that all we do? It's so much more.
So let's break it down into two sections, because you mentioned residential and you mentioned businesses. So let's start with the residential, because there's a lot of people that live here in Orange County. Master Deputy Stanley Murray, why don't you tell me, like, residential crime prevention, what does that mean? What is that? How do you go out to people's houses? Do you just kind of tell them what to do in terms of how to prevent crime?
We have several ways, my brother John. What we try to get out, though, is making sure they know that they are empowered. A lot of times residents feel that they're victims without a chance of getting themselves out of what's happening to their homes and residences. So we do a few things. We may publicly put it out on Nextdoor that we're available to do residential surveys, or we are individually set up in different sectors of the county. We may just be riding through neighborhoods. I'll notice 2 or 3 garage doors is up. I'll get out of my car. I'll walk up. I'll ring the doorbell and say, "Hey, ma'am, sir, did you know your garage door is up?" And they'll say, "Yeah, I know." And I'll lumber back to the car feeling like I thought I saved the world. But what we're recognizing is sometimes people are just not being conscious of the things that can allow crime to happen in their area. So we're very, very adamant about pushing that to anyone that we can in the residential area.
So what are some of the things? Like I said, let's start with the residential. Let's start with the houses. Like when you go to a house or you see a house or you talk to HOAs or whatever, what do you tell them, like, when it comes to some of the tips on preventing crime at your home?
Well, we start on the outside looking in. I mean, we come up, we may say they have a fence that's damaged or needs to be repaired. We may see that their lighting, if we drive through at night, is not operating correctly, or it's faulty or broken. We may see that, like I said, garage doors up where people can see all the valuables that they have in there. Just their car parked in the driveway and it's not locked. I mean, those kind of indicators give us the ambition to stop and say, there's things that are available that you can do for really cost-effective methods. Sometimes when you think about crime prevention, you think, oh my God, it's a whole lot of money. But really, it's pennies on the dollar. You can just change the screws in your door jambs would help decrease someone being able to kick your door in. So we spend that time not just with HOAs, but individual residents who may not make it to the HOA meeting. So sometimes we don't wait so much of them to come to us, we go to them.
And Sergeant Harvey, I think Stanley makes a good point. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars that you need to invest in your house. Sometimes it's just as simple as turning your lights on at night.
And that is so important. The number one deterrent to nighttime crime is lights. And the best lights that you can use happen to be the most cost-effective ones, LEDs. It's true to color. It allows you to light up the area in a really good manner. And it's super cost-effective. It doesn't increase your electric bill. It doesn't create heat. So we really recommend LEDs. It's as simple as a light bulb, and it is the number one deterrent.
Why is that? Is it just, people don't want to be seen at night when they're breaking into houses? Is it that simple?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody wants to be seen. So when they have the cover of darkness and they're able to commit the crime without somebody seeing them, that reduces their chances of getting caught. And that's what they don't want to have happen. So if you have floodlights that'll come on to motion activation, that's good. If you have lights that just stay on all night, we're okay with that too. There's a lot of cameras that are available that as somebody enters your driveway at night, the floodlights will come on and the camera turns on. Anything you can do to illuminate your property the best way will reduce the crime from happening to your property.
So I sort of touched on this, residential surveys. This is something we do at the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
That's correct. It's free of charge. We'll come out and we'll start from the outside and work our way inside. And some of the things that Sarge is talking about right now, there are bulbs that automatically come on in the sunset and go right off at sunrise. So you don't have to worry about remembering to turn your lights on or turn them off. I mean, there are ways that you can trim your shrubbery, trim it down a way that you can look out of your windows. We call it natural surveillance in our upgraded classes, of course, but it allows a resident to see who's actually around their household. They're peepholes. When's the last time you even looked to see if it's even worked or if it's functioning? Has it been tampered with? All those kinds of things. So we really, really try to just give people an opportunity to know that they, especially with our seniors, Florida's big. We have a large senior population here, and so we have to look at cost-effective ways to help them because they just don't have it financially to be able to make some of the game-changing things that some of us who are employed would do.
Do a lot of people know that we offer this service at the Orange County Sheriff's Office, that we have these residential surveys?
Well, we try to get the message out as best possible. We do go to a lot of meetings where we inform people that we have them. We go to a lot of community events. We take pamphlets and brochures with us at every single event we go to, letting people know we have these. And then we do our social media posts as well. In fact, our most recent one, that's what it was about, was residential surveys. We want people to know we're here to help you, and we want to help you prevent crime, because it really is a teamwork. It really is it's a safer community together. Yes, and so if we're working together as a team, it really brings it all together.
It does.
So when you do go out there, when you do meet with residents, and you go through their house, or you give them a survey or say, you need to change this or you need to look at that, like, are they surprised by it? Or are they like...
A lot of them are just like, wow, that's all it took? Yeah, that's all it took. We even talk about how you have, stacks of mail that could give up your personal information. We talk about identity theft. We talk about, those things that could lead to someone coming in. You thinking they're trying to steal your gun or your money, but they just want your identity, and they're taking your mail, and they're taking things that have your social security number, date of birth, all that kind of stuff. We talk about them looking at getting a shredder, or come to one of our quarterly Shred-A-Thons that we've been doing,
which
this
are
year
very popular in Orange County, believe it or not.
That's right. And so we tell them, look, there are ways that if you have prescription medication that's been gone too long, or you're no longer using it, there's a drop-off spot right here at our main operations center at 2500 West Colonial. They can come right here and drop it off. So there's always avenues of help. And I'm a firm believer, without information, you use your imagination. So we want to make sure we're keeping them flooded with that information of knowing that the sheriff's office is here for them.
So I know both of you have been with the sheriff's office for a while, but did you have to learn how to teach other people to upkeep their house and make their house safe? Like, are there classes? Are there certifications?
Oh, yes. The Attorney General's office out of Tallahassee, there's probably about 200 hours worth of training that's available to us that we even have to upkeep and update about every 3 years to make sure that we're conscious of all the new ideas that are coming out, all the new innovations that are coming out. And so Sarge is gracious enough to get us scheduled with those classes as best we can. But it is a requirement for us to be ahead of the game. If we're playing behind the ball, then the bad guy, if you will, is always going to be on top. So we're always looking for new ways to innovate back into the community to keep the community strong.
And Sergeant, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but Can it help with anything like homeowners insurance or anything like that? Or is this just something for a peace of mind that, okay, I went through the process, my lights are good, my locks are good? Or can you like turn it over and say, look, my house is even safer than it was before to your homeowners insurance?
It would be ideal if it could connect to your homeowner's insurance. We would love that because it would probably engage the community even more to want to do it.
Okay.
But at the moment, there's not that I know of, but it is keeping you from having to file a claim with your homeowner's insurance when you have a crime occur on your property. So that is a good thing. It's a time saver because you're not going to be a victim of a crime. We would love, though.
I would add, though, if you're looking to sell your home, those additions could be used into your appraisal. Not saying it would give you more value to it, but it would give a new homeowner to know that this house was fortified versus a regular home who may not have been fortified. So it may help with the sale.
What is like maybe the most common crime committed at a home? Like when it comes to like, is it property crimes or is it people breaking in or like what's the most common crime?
Well, it usually starts right there with the car in the garage. I mean, or sitting in the driveway. That's usually where it starts. It'll start with a vehicle burglary. I don't know how many we get those a day, but that's a conscious thing because they have what's called car hopping. They just walk through the neighborhood and just pull it on car doors and car handles. And while I'm on that topic, I want to reinforce to owners who have those push start vehicles with the fob keys, be very careful if you're putting them in your purse, because if it brushes up or touches up against something in your purse, it could be unlocking your door to your car. You don't even know it. So we would stress on that. From there, it transitioned to the home. The average burglary is about 90 seconds in and out. They're all about time. They want to get in and they want to get out. So you have to make sure that you're fortifying your home, that it's easier to try to go somewhere else than get into a home that's already been strengthened.
And that was gonna be my next question. Let's say somebody does come into your home, they want to burglarize your home. Is it usually people that are home, or have they left for work for the day? And is it people that like, do they know the homeowner? Or are they just
trial and error? We get a little of both. They may do the knock on the door kind of thing and see if someone answers. We've seen them come in and say, well, look, we're here because you got trees that are near your power line. Can I show you? You walk out of your house to go back with one person and another person is going through your home at the same time. It's a new scam every week is coming out. So that's why we, and Sergeant keeps us busy with these trainings so we can try to be ahead of these new scams and new things that come out. So it could be a variety of things.
How long does one of these surveys take roughly?
I'd say roughly we'll probably spend about 15 to 30 minutes with you. Like Stan said, we start from the outside in. So we do want to go over every single aspect so that we can give you all the pieces of the puzzle. And that way, as time's available to you, you're able to make these little adjustments, changing your lights, upgrading your locks, fixing your fence, maintaining your property. Sometimes it's as simple as trimming your shrubbery like we saw in the video. So some of that just takes a little bit of time. So we do start on the outside, work our way in. So it can take about 30 minutes.
So we'll include at the end how to reach out to you and how to get to you. I think is it OCSO Crime Prevention?
So our email address is OCSO Crime Prevention
at ocfl.net.
At ocfl.net.
Yes. I'll put that in the post and we'll put that at the end as well.
But we have a webpage as well. So you could go to ocso.com/crime prevention. Takes you to our webpage and all of our wonderful information is on there. You have pictures of all of us. You could click on our picture. It'll take you to our emails. So that's another great way to reach us.
So let's transition over to the other side. We talked about residential. There's a lot of businesses in Orange County as well. Let's say I'm a small business owner. What are my options then? You'll come out to my business as well?
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm blessed to be in the area of iDrive and Disney, so I deal mostly with restaurants, eateries, businesses, and we include in that, we call it commercial, places of worship as well. So we don't leave the churches and synagogues and mosques out either, or temples. So we strive about trying to help them because sometimes those businesses are not open late at night. Some of them are only open certain times. Most of your places of worship may not be open but only 1 or 2 days a week. So you have standalone buildings that are now being available for crime. So we take the time to reach out with those business owners. We try to do business watches with them, keep them up to par what's happening in their areas, try to get them to collaborate collaborate together, because usually the same suspect on one end of the plaza is the same suspect on the other end of the plaza. So we try to find those ways to connect and give them ways to make sure that their windows are open, that they can see out, and police driving by can see in, that they're not keeping it cluttered and all those kinds of things, especially our convenience stores. You know, I've been blessed to teach with the Attorney General's office, so I bring that home about our commercial connections.
And I do want to add, he mentioned about Business Watch. Some people are not familiar with that term. It's very similar to a neighborhood watch. All the businesses having everybody's contact information, watching out for each other, and sharing information. So if they see suspicious people, they might have an email group where they're reaching out to all of them and sharing that information. So for the businesses, if anybody's listening today that owns a business, if you want to reach out to us, we can help you get started with a Business Watch. We can help organize that, get that on board, and that just keeps your entire area safer.
So let's say I'm a business and I want you to come out, or one of the deputies here in crime prevention, is the survey the same, or do you look for different things when you go to a business?
It's similar, but definitely not exactly the same. The major groups are locks, landscaping, lighting. Those are always going to be
the
part
3
of what we
L's.
do. Right, the 3 L's. We deal with that. But we may go into difference. How are you handling your cash? Incoming your
That's
registry.
a good point. I used to work at a restaurant, and you work all day, and then you go and deposit the money at night. All you need is somebody to follow you to the bank and say, "Oh, I want your cash."
Exactly. Or just leaving your cash register closed. We have window decals we give it to a lot of businesses that says our registers are empty, and they open the till to keep it open. So if they were to look in, they would see that it's empty. So those simple things. We talk about, proper evaluating of your employees, knowing what their backgrounds may be, doing true background checks on the people that you're bringing in. And of course, and if they're going to be closed for certain amounts of time, are they communicating that some people know that we're not here or we're not available, so that decreases that about for people, to do the criminal things that happen. I tell people it's seasonal. Some summers we know that crime goes up across the country, so it's not something that I'm a surprise. So we tell them in the spring, let's start honing in some of this. Let's make sure we're not propping back doors for the people who like to smoke or do other things, because all that opens the door for armed robberies and things of that nature.
I mean, and they teach you that stuff. Sometimes when you work at a restaurant, they might tell you that when you first start. You work there a few years, and then, I need to go out, and I don't want the key, or I forgot my key, and so I just prop the door open. That's a good point. There's all these probably little things you think maybe you got during orientation when you own a business or you work at a business, but you sort of forget. So it's probably always good to have somebody sort of reiterate that every few months or every few years to let you know.
Exactly. Yes, and we also offer workplace violence presentations as well. And what that does is that allows, we talk a lot about active shooter, and I tell people how important that is. However, I tell them that through workplace violence presentations, you're able to actually identify and report this suspicious activity before it happens, because when it happens, it goes down real fast, and as you can tell across the country, it is very detrimental to how people are affected even after the fact. So we talk about those things, and we encourage those businesses about, hey, what is your EAP program? What is it about? Is it been pushed? Is it being brought up on a regular basis? We talk about media relations. Do you have someone who is trained in media relations to know how to make the proper comments and know what needs to be said? I say, is no comment a good comment? No, it's not a good one, but you need to be able to say something that still keeps you in the restraints of what you need to project back to the media, because you don't want to shut the media off, because without information, then the media uses their imagination.
Sergeant Harvey, how many deputies do you have doing crime prevention?
So we have 5 deputies and then 2 supervisors and a civilian. Our 5 deputies are assigned the different sectors in the county. So whatever geographical sector you live in that our county is broken down in, you have a deputy assigned to that area. We really all work together as a team, though. So the one is assigned, we'll all be out hanging out together, working in your community. And then our civilian is over our neighborhood watch program and also our Citizens on Patrol. So Citizens on Patrol is a volunteer group that's an extension of Neighborhood Watch. Most people know what Neighborhood Watch is at this point. It's a national organization. But the Citizens on Patrol allows volunteers within a community to have a marked Citizens on Patrol agency vehicle. They wear gray uniforms similar to the deputies' uniforms, and they are an extension of Neighborhood Watch. They drive around, and their job is to be the eyes and ears of the community. If they see something happening, they have a sheriff's office radio, they can call it in. They don't take action, but because they're there and they're watching it, they can be a really good witness. And then they call it into the sheriff's office, and a deputy will come out and assist with whatever they see going on.
So speaking of neighborhood watch, like if I live in Orange County and I wanted to start that program, a neighborhood watch program in my neighborhood, do I go through crime prevention or do I just start it on my own?
You absolutely want to reach out to us. Our civilian, Awilda McBride, is amazing. She's been coordinating neighborhood watches for years, and she will work with your community to get a neighborhood watch established. She'll help you set up a block captain, get the names of all the neighbors, and she'll get it up and running. And we'll even come to your first few meetings just to make sure that everything is going as planned, and then we turn it over to the neighborhood.
Do you think a lot of people take advantage of that program, Neighborhood Watch, or do you think people, they move in somewhere and they're like, well, I don't know my neighbors and I don't want to bother them, or is it a pretty robust program?
We want people more engaged. We want our neighbors knowing each other. So take advantage. Call us, make us busy, and let us get out to your community. Because the more eyes that we have in your community, which is you, the better it helps you from becoming a victim of a crime.
That's correct.
And I want to touch on that. I mean, how does crime prevention, I know it sounds like a dumb question, but how does it make Orange County a better community?
Well, we learned over time. Time have changed from where we once were to where we are now. The average resident now may live in their home approximately 7 to 8 years, and they move. So the relationship of a neighborhood has changed dramatically. And I'm just a firm believer that it's called a neighborhood. The less you're a neighbor, the more you're a hood. And what does that mean? That means you become to think only about yourself. You don't concern yourself with your neighbors. You don't concern about who is needing something done in the community. And so what that does is you begin to have these large areas, even though they may be all owners, they have a quote-unquote renter mentality of, well, it's really not my problem because it's not in my yard. But if it affects one yard, it's going to affect the whole community. It's going to affect the whole street, the whole block. So we try to just reinforce it back to them, and we do things through like National Night Out. We try to get them to come in and come together and get to know one another and communicate with one another and offer those neighborhood watch programs, offer that the sheriff's office does free residential surveys, offer that they will come and talk to you about personal safety of how you should operate, not just in your home, but in the community itself. So it's really about collaborating on a regular basis because over time, if not, it begins to fade away. If you're not relevant, you become irrelevant. So we want to make sure we keep the communities relevant as possible.
And you mentioned National Night Out. That's part of crime prevention as well.
Absolutely. It's one of our favorite times of the year. It's our biggest party that we have, and that's exactly what it is. It's a block party. It's also a neighborhood watch program. That's a national program. We have it. It's on the first Tuesday of October every year. So this year it's on October 4th. If you go
mark your calendars.
Your calendar.
We're going to be putting out information on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page, so make sure you're following us on how to register your neighborhood. You will have a deputy in your neighborhood for the party. We give out lots of trinkets, so you'll have all kinds of good handouts to give to your community, and it's really about connecting the community members in the neighborhood together, as well as having the deputies meet you guys as well. So we're all a big team.
Sergeant Harvey, how did you end up here in crime prevention?
Crime prevention has always been a unit that I've been familiar with, but never worked in. And I actually first knew about crime prevention as a new deputy working in the South Orange Blossom Trail area when Deputy Stan Murray was the Sector 4 crime prevention deputy. And he used to come into our briefings and talk about what crime prevention was, what tools he had to offer, and how we could also pass along that information on the calls for service. And I've always kept the knowledge of what Stan gave us in my back pocket. And when the opportunity became available for a sergeant position in crime prevention, and I knew that Stan Murray was still here, this is where I needed to be. And I came back, and we've had such a good working relationship. It's really been a blessing.
How about you, Stan? How long have you been in crime prevention?
I have been in crime prevention, I think now 13 and a half years of my 27 years. I've been a community person pretty much my whole career. I love people. I love the ability to watch people evolve and grow. And so when we go and we give these presentations and we come in there and it's almost like these people, they kind of think they know. And then after we do the presentation, they come up and they say, oh my God, I am so glad I came tonight. I was not going to come. And that just really enthuses me every morning when I get up to say, Sarge, we're doing great things here. And our crime prevention unit is strong. We're united. We work well together. And we want to just impose into the community, that they have to know that they're already empowered. They just need the information to put it together, and this will decrease crime. I mean, there's people say, well, we stop crime. Well, you can deter it, and you can motivate it to go somewhere else. However, the goal is that when it's all said and done, even if a crime occurs, that community or that business is still empowered to know there are things available I can deter it from happening again.
What's changed in your 13 years in crime prevention? Has technology changed things a lot? Or?
Dramatically. Neighborhood Watch was when it first began in my career, it was more of how could I get to the people? How could I get to the people? But technology through I use it next door and other things that we utilize, connecting with the Ring program, because it helps us be able to now pull information from residents who've been burglarized. I mean, just everything is out there now for us to now kind of get ahead of the game. We have created programs within the patrol that help them see crime ahead of time. Chances are it's going to happen in this area on this date during this time period. So we try to ride through those areas and create it. So much has changed, but it's really worked in our favor. Not really worked against us, but it's worked in our favor. That doesn't mean the bad guy still doesn't try. But at the end of the day, there are three things to commit a crime. If there's the desire, if they have desire to do it, not much we can do about that. If there's an ability to do it, they can get to that neighborhood, get to that business. Not a lot we can do about that. But what we talk to residents and homeowners and business owners about, places of worship about, is opportunity. If they can decrease that opportunity for that crime to occur, then we've already got ahead of the game. And that's what we want to continue to push to our people.
You touched on this earlier, and I didn't ask you about churches. Is it different when you go to the churches to try to get them to prevent
Very
crime?
much so. I'm also blessed to be a pastor in the community, so I'll use the word lingo, but I know the verbiages and I know the mindsets of how even clergy leaders, no matter what religion, we all kind of think the same, that God is in control. And yes, we have that mindset. However, I do bring the relation to them that he gives us that ability to utilize fencing, lighting, locks. Born on the days of, walking into churches just being open all night long. Those days are far and few between. You will come and your speakers will be gone, your microphones will be gone, your piano may be gone. So we talk about now just being safe about how they operate, when they're handling their finances, when it comes in through the church, how they're handling it. If they're out in evening services, are they utilizing their lighting? Is it coming on? Is it bright enough that it would deter someone from feeling comfortable to sit and wait in their parking lot? So all of those things we bring back around again.
Well, what do you think is your biggest challenge when it comes to crime prevention?
Consistency. I think sometimes when we come, they hear, they process, but they may get deterred for some other reason. It may be, well, that sounds like it costs a lot of money. And we tell businesses, especially apartment complexes and even HOAs, you don't have to do everything together. Break it down into phases. Maybe you're only going to do this part of the community at this point, and you'll come back around in this part of the community. So you don't have to overwhelm yourself with this large, six-figure budget to get something done. You can break it down in little pieces, and especially you'll see that it still will start moving crime where you want it to be outside of your area.
Excellent. Well, if anybody wants before I go too far, and I'll edit this out, is there anything I'm forgetting or anything we want to make sure we touch on?
At the end, I just want to throw in the dates for our Shred-A-Thons.
Okay, we can do that. All right. So once again, if you're interested in a residential survey is it a business survey? Is that the right word?
A commercial survey.
Commercial survey. Go to OCSO crime prevention at OCFL.net. Send them an email. It's also on our website, OCSO.com/crime prevention. You can find all that stuff there. But Sergeant Harvey, tell me about some of the events you have coming up.
So I touched on one already. Make sure you're marking your calendars for National Night Out, which is October 4th. It's in the evening. It's a party. We have fun. The other things I want to talk about is the Shred-A-Thons that we do. It's a shredding event. We want to make sure that we're preventing fraud. A lot of our elders in the community, they keep a lot of papers around, they have social security numbers, banking information, and not everybody has a shredder. Well, for free, bring as much as you got. If you have it, we'll shred it. And our next one is on August 20th at Olympia High School from 9 o'clock in the morning to noon. And then we have another one November 12th, same time frame at Freedom High School. We usually do 4 a year, so those are the last 2 for this year, and they also double as a medication disposal event. So if you have old medicines, prescription medicines the safest way to dispose them, bring them to the sheriff's office. We'll have evidence text there to take them from you. And that way we know we're not putting medicine in a landfill or in a trash can for some other fingers that shouldn't be around grabbing them.
I like that. I like the point that you're making there, because I don't know if a lot of people know about that, but you see people sometimes, maybe a loved one passed away and they have just a lot of medicine at their house. I saw this one time in Sector 2, and this woman just had a bag full of medicine, and she's like, I want to get rid of it. And so it was a good spot that she could do that.
Yeah,
at.
bring as much as you have. We're not putting a limit to the medicines as well, and then that way we can safely dispose of them.
All right. Well, Sergeant Harvey, Master Deputy Stanley Murray, thank you so much for being on Behind the Star.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Star. You can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Also, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Jon Busdeker, and this is Behind the Star.